There was a time when strategy ruled the PC. Before battle passes, before seasonal roadmaps, before competitive gaming became dominated by shooters and battle royales, you started with almost nothing: a single command center, a handful of workers, a map hidden beneath fog of war. You gathered resources carefully. You placed each building with intention. You scouted, knowing that information was survival. And then, without warning, the attack would come. Real-time strategy games were not just about speed. They were about control, about anticipation, about managing chaos before it consumed you. From Command & Conquer to Age of Empires, from Warcraft to StarCraft, for nearly a decade, RTS defined competitive PC gaming. So how did one of the most dominant genres of the late 1990s slowly fade from the mainstream? To understand that, we have to return to the beginning. While strategy games existed long before the 1990s, the modern RTS formula crystallized during that decade. Westwood Studios' Command & Conquer refined real-time base building and faction asymmetry. Blizzard's Warcraft 2 strengthened multiplayer depth and faction identity. Assemble Studios' Age of Empire introduced historical civilizations and structured technological progression. The structure was clear: gather resources, construct buildings, research upgrades, train units, counter your opponent in real time. Unlike turn-based strategy, there was no pause for deliberation. Every decision unfolded simultaneously. The late 1990s saw RTS games dominate PC charts. LAN cafes filled with players competing locally. Expansion packs became major releases. Multiplayer communities grew organically. Then, in 1998, Blizzard released StarCraft. It would become one of the most influential competitive games ever made. In South Korea, StarCraft evolved into a national phenomenon. Professional leagues formed, matches were broadcast on televisions. Players achieved celebrity status. By the early 2000s, RTS was not niche, it was central to competitive gaming culture. At its peak, RTS demanded a rare combination of skills: strategic foresight, economic efficiency, unit micromanagement, map awareness, mechanical speed. Professional StarCraft players regularly performed over 300 actions per minute. But this mastery came at a price. RTS games were difficult to learn and unforgiving for beginners. A new player entering online competition could lose within minutes, often without understanding why. Economy mistakes compounded quietly. Poor scouting led to blind counters. Late technological decisions snowballed into defeat. Unlike shooters, which offer immediate feedback through visible action, RTS punished errors invisibly. For dedicated players, this depth was exhilarating. For newcomers, it was intimidating. As gaming audiences expanded in the mid-2000s, this complexity began to matter. By the mid-2000s, the gaming industry itself was transforming. Console gaming surged globally. Online infrastructure improved. Publishers began targeting broader demographics. Design philosophies increasingly emphasized accessibility. Games moved toward immediate engagement, clear feedback loops, gradual skill curves, lower barriers to entry. First-person shooters like Call of Duty offered instant action. Even inexperienced players could contribute through team mechanics. RTS required patience, structured learning, and mechanical precision. It was also deeply dependent on mouse and keyboard input, limiting its appeal on consoles. As AAA development budgets grew, publishers evaluated risk differently. RTS required complex AI systems, extensive balance testing, long-term competitive maintenance. Meanwhile, emerging live service models favored genres with scalable cosmic monetization and mass appeal. The market was shifting towards reach. RTS was optimized for depth, and depth does not always scale. Then came an unexpected evolution. In the early 2000s, a Warcraft 3 custom modification began spreading online. Defense of the Ancients. It removed large-scale base construction and economic management. Each player controlled a single hero, smaller teams, focused objectives, shorter learning curves. The strategic DNA of RTS remained: map awareness, timing, counterplay, but overwhelming macro-management layer was stripped away. From this foundation emerged League of Legends and Dota 2. These games retained competitive depth while dramatically lowering the barrier to entry. Matches were easier to follow visually. Progression systems rewarded consistent play. monetization through cosmetic content provided sustainable at scale. By the early 2000s, MOBAs dominated PC esports. In many ways, they inherited the competitive audience once centered on RTS, but they did so in a format aligned with modern industry economics. StarCraft 2 launched in 2010 and revitalized competitive interest, but it also marked a plateau. Subsequent major RTS releases became less frequent. Command & Conquer struggled to redefine itself. Warcraft pivoted fully toward World of Warcraft. Publisher invested increasingly in shooters, open-world games and multiplayer live services. RTS did not collapse overnight. It gradually moved from center stage to the periphery. The genre had not failed creatively. It had become misaligned with the economic structure of modern gaming: accessibility, scalability, sustained monetization. These priorities shaped the next decade. RTS remained demanding in an era increasingly optimized for frictionless engagement. Today, RTS survives, but differently. Age of Empires 4 reignited nostalgia while modernizing core systems. Indie studios experiment with hybrid, real-time strategy models. The Total War series blends turn-based empire management with real-time battles. Communities remain passionate and dedicated, but RTS is no longer the dominant competitive PC genre. It occupies a respected but specialized space, and perhaps that is not failure, perhaps it is transformation. RTS games rose because they demanded mastery. They declined in prominence because the industry shifted toward accessibility and monetization systems that favored other formats. The genre did not disappear, its influence fragmented. Its mechanics live on in MOBAs, tactical shooters and competitive design philosophy across modern gaming. Perhaps the rise and fall of RTS was never about quality, perhaps it was about alignment. And in that sense, RTS did not truly collapse. It simply stopped fitting the era that followed.